Okay, picking up where we left off on page 258, we're talking about how to build a column. And we start with a wrapper, and then we have all the things lined up in a column. And I'm using the HTML5 constructs, the new stuff. There's one called header. And I'm going to go ahead and put some text in here so we can see what's going on. Something simple like, this is the header. Cool. And then after the header, I'm going to do nav. And look, this is a nav. Okie dokie. And then main, which is be where the main stuff should be. Okay. Paragraph. This is main. And one last one called footer. And paragraph. This is the footer. Okay. I'm just going to run this to make sure it works. I mean, because God only knows what I typed. All right, ta-da! It worked like it's supposed to. Okay, cool. Now, just to kind of bring home the point, I'm going to just make some colors on the background. So I'm going to go back up here and do an embedded. Remember how you do that? It starts with the style, but not an attribute style, a tag called style. So style. And then the wrapper guy. I want to talk to a class. So is that like with a dot or a pound? Yeah, it's a dot. So wrapper. And I'm going to say, I don't know, background color. And I'm going to say light yellow. I want these to be kind of light colors because we're going to have text on top. Okay, the next one, the selector is going to be for a tag, right? So remember how if you want everything to happen inside one of those tags, you just give it the name of the tag. So this would be just header, right? So background color, I don't know, light blue. And let's do nav, background color, I don't know, how about light green? Okay, main, background color is light pink. Is there spell it right? Oh, light coral. That's good. That's almost the same thing. And one more. Footer background color equals light gray. And I think maybe I got my caps lock on. All right. I'm just going to run this to show you. So in theory, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors on the screen. What do you think? Well, it would if it worked. This is one of those oddities with Internet Explorer. I'm not exactly certain, but it basically just doesn't like this main tag. I'm going to ignore that for the time being, and just so I don't maintain, I'm going to switch over here to using Google Chrome. All right, so just bear with me. And yay! Okay, now let's talk about this. Each one of these things is a stripe, right? And the color behind it, okay, that's the wrapper. So there's, in other words, you can see paint through. You know, you got a stripe of paint, a stripe of paint, and a stripe of paint, but the stuff behind it is the wrapper color. Cool? All right. So that works. Yay! Why it doesn't work in, I know how to fix it. Okay, don't get me wrong. Basically, instead of just using this main guy, I just create a class called main. And then everything will work just like it's supposed to. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the right way, okay, rather than showing you some bizarre way to kind of force it to work. So just bear with me for a minute. All right. So now I made this thing go like that. But what I really want it to do is I want it to look like this. So I have a wrapper, header, nav, main, and footer. By the way, do you think it matters what order I put those in? Yeah. Yeah, if I'm going to convert this into that, it's going to have to be exactly the way it shows here in this wireframe. A wrapper, and inside the wrapper, a header, followed by a nav, followed by a main, followed by a footer in that order. Okay, cool. Let's continue. Okay, So I want to do is instead of having them like this, the nav and the main, I want to do them like this, right? Now we know how to do that. It's called floating, right? Okay, good. So I go to the nav guy, and I say I want to add a float. So float and left, because the wireframe showed him on the left. Now, is that going to do it right there? Can I just stop right there? Float left? Well, let's just see what it looks like. Kinda. But it's the width of the text I put in there. And that's not exactly what I want. I probably want to tell it precisely what the width is, right? Okay. Just saying. So most likely, this is going to be going in here and saying width is equal to, I don't know, 150 pixels. That sounds like a good number. Sorry, colon, not equal sign. All right, so let's do that again. And so now it's a little more obvious as to what's going on. Now, there's kind of sort of an issue here. One is because I turned the float on, it caught everything afterwards. You remember what this thing looked like? Where the footer was not floated. So how do you make a float go away? Ah, with the clear. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to go to this guy, the footer guy, and tell him that I'm done with that floating stuff. Put me back. Okay. So I'm going to say clear. Now I could say clear both. But I'm going to say clear left because, hey, the float, you could tell which way the float was. Look right up above. Clear left. Let's try it one more time. Okay, it's looking more and more like this guy, isn't it? Well, I closed him. But anyway, the thing across the top, the thing across the bottom, a nav bar, and this. Now, the problem is that this text is touching right up against that edge. The T is actually touching the nav bar. And that would be a little weird, right? So I need to put some space in there. Now, let's just try the obvious, okay? Let's try a little bit of margin, okay? Just to see if that works. And so I'm going to go up here to main, because that's where this is going on. And I'm going to say, I don't know, margin, and this would be the margin on the left-hand side, right? So margin left, I'll give it 5 pixels. Okay, that certainly ought to fix the problem, right? Let's go take a look. And it made no difference whatsoever. You go, well, okay. Maybe it's not margin. Maybe it's padding that's doing it. Let's do padding. Padding left. Okay, cool. Let's try that. And it still didn't make any difference. So what the heck is going on here? Okay, because you floated this guy, you're going to have to account for the entire width of the space consumed by the nav bar and then add to it. Because when you floated things, you're actually putting an object on top of an object. And so that padding thing and that margin thing really just doesn't work now. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go here I'm going to go back to margin. Margin, instead of saying 5, I'm going to say 155. Okay, you follow me? In other words, it's scooting over the entire width of the nav and then 5 more pixels. Okay, cool. Well, let's run this. And ta-da! Now it visually makes it so there's a space between the T and the nav bar. Okay, that's pretty cool, huh? All right, so that's the essence of how to do these things. I'm going to go over the steps one more time, nice and slow and easy. So to convert a one column thing, I shouldn't have closed that dang diagram. Okay, to convert this into that, there's some steps you have to take. Number 1, configure the float and width on the nav. Typically, this would be like the nav tag, float left, and probably, the width of whatever, 150 or whatever it is you want. Step 2 is I'm going to have to scoot the main over a little bit because he's now confused, okay? He's really on top of something, and so this whole concept of margin and padding is kind of weird, and so I need to scoot him over the total size that I want him to scoot over. So like margin left, Instead of 5, add 5 to whatever the width is. Step 3, I don't want to have this float go on forever. I want to stop it at footer. So I go to footer until I want to clear the float. Okay, so one more time. Why is it I'm using two different widths here? 150 and 155? You know, why aren't they both 150? Well, because I'm simulating what margin and padding would normally be doing here. So I have to manually, mathematically account for that difference. This is kind of odd, but hey, what the heck. So basically, there's no such thing as like inter-box padding when you have something on top of something else. There's really no such thing. And so I'll admit this is a little weird, but hey, it works great. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and show you this in Internet Explorer. Okay. And Internet Explorer is ignoring me. It's ignoring the padding thing that I did. And admittedly, I know how to fix it, but all you have to do is just quit using the main, make a class called main, and everything else works. Okay. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just telling you when you're, well, you know, maybe, well, no, I guess I'm not. All right. Let's just stick with how things are supposed to be. And admittedly, to make this work on, 14.7% of browsers on the planet, you're going to have to do something slightly different. You're going to have to go here and make this a div tag with a class of main and just put a .main up there, okay? So when you're doing this at home, I don't want you to freak out that it didn't work, all right? I'm telling you how to fix it. I'm ready to move on. On page 262, they talk about how you would normally do navigation. Most people do navigation in a bullet list. Okay, now this sounds a little weird, but just bear with me for a minute. So instead of having this, I'm going to go here and put like an unordered list. Remember, that's what a bullet list is. So unordered, UL. Okay. And then you have a LI, and you say, I don't know, I'm going to make this stuff up. This is going to be, I don't know, articles, right? Because this is going to be a hyperlink to something. I'm not yet using well, doggone it. I guess I'm going to have to put hyperlinks in here. Okay, hang on just a second. I'm going to go ahead and do this for real. So inside my list item, I'm actually going to put an A tag. Remember how this thing works? A, then an href, and then you're going to point to something. So I'm going to point to http www.imageray.com articles. Okay. All right, then I'm going to do another one. I'm going to copy this. And we'll call this one, I don't know, Edge Manage. I don't even know if that's works. If that's going to work. I think. Hey, let's try it. That'd be one way to find out, huh? I'm going to view this. Let's see if that works. Yay! Woohoo! Let's see if that works. Yay! Woohoo! That was lucky. Okay. Oh, I left it on Internet Explorer. I'm gonna switch back to Google Chrome so I have a fighting chance of this stuff working. Okay. So 2 is good enough for our demonstration here. Normally, of course, you'd have a lot more. We're coming up on the 15-minute mark. So before we go too much further, I'm gonna pause this video and we'll pick it up again in just a few.